All right, we are officially connecting. Leroy, good to see you, buddy. Sorry we were so quick to get on.
You're okay, brother.
All right, going live on Wimkin. Looks like we are set. Wimkin people, hello. We're going live. As soon as I see this thing click on, there it is. Going live, getting out of here. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We are here. And we are just a couple minutes late. I apologize. It was a little bit difficult to get everything firing. We're getting it taken care of right now. Ethan needed some help with a video game, and I had to help him. That's just what it takes sometimes, folks.
That's a good dad right there.
Getting the lights on. Hold on, folks.
I thought I turned them on. Sorry.
I'm wearing a white shirt, so I need to drown myself out. That's not what I need to do. That's drowning myself out and killing all the vampires. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. It's Monday. Mondays are usually pretty darn hectic. Let's get it going. 15% off till 9 p.m. on the DUM store. If you haven't been over there, go do it. Got some news about the DUM Club here in a second, and we'll talk about that, and we will see you on the other side. I'm putting in the discount right now, so if you want to go over to the store, you can buy a shirt, hat, t-shirt, coffee, all that type of stuff. Go over to thedumshow.com. See you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 3 minutes. The DUM Club, folks, we are sending out gift boxes. Should be at the first of the month. Figured everything out. We're doing something kind of nice for everybody. Just want you to hang in there. We are finally getting everything put together. So the DUM Club is back and active. We've also got some strategies with a new app. All of it's growing. Go to thedumclub.com. You can go ahead and join bronze, silver, or gold. And thank you for your patience. We are doing our best to make it as fun for you as possible. See you this Saturday with a new Zoom call.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as the DUM Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The DUM Show on social media or thedumshow.com.
Step into a Wimkin.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. We've got some interesting things. It's amazing when we wear white shirts, how it changes the overall complexity of the... you can change the white balance and everything else, but for some reason it just drowns everything out. But it is what it is. Paul, yeah, you can go to fentanyl test. I'll get you the URL. Hey, Liv, can you talk to Jason Shepard and find out the URL to the fentanyl test, please? Yes. We've got some people who are interested. Leroy, we have a question from a viewer, which I think is a good way to start out. It's not politics based. I just want to go over the basics real quick first. If this is your first time at the show, this is the Don't Unfriend Me Show. My name is Matthew Spear. Olivia is in pink, pretty in pink, beautiful in pink. And in olive drab is Leroy. That's all I got to say. The color matches his personality. Drab. Yep.
Dull.
Bitter and murky. Dull.
Yeah.
Let's see. The show. It's really a mixture of politics, current events, geopolitics, military perspective. Leroy and I are. I'm former military intelligence, and he is current military intelligence. Olivia has had to put up with me and Leroy for quite a while, so she might as well just be military patient, but offers a great perspective from the mom. She also does all the behind the scenes and talks to everybody and communicates and makes social media work. So she does an amazing job there. First time here, the show is fairly standard. We have a recorded show that comes maybe 3 times a week, and then a live show, 7 o'clock, 5 times a week. And then, of course, memes and articles on the dumnews.com. You can find us at thedumshow.com, and we are good friends with Wimkin. You're looking at 3 owners of Wimkin, along with 2 others in our network, and we are big fans. 9 million people, social media, 100% free speech. Go over ahead and take a look. You go to thedumshow.com right now, get 50% off the entire site. And last but not least, Facebook demonetized us quite a bit ago. It's now been 4.5 months. And ever since then, I had a full-time job, and I was making very good money. And we decided that everything was great. We didn't take any money for 3.5 years for the show. It was self-funded, and we just did it as a hobby. And then it took off. COVID cost me some jobs, and we decided to do this full-time. And Facebook and everything was great. We were making money, and it was fantastic. And then all of a sudden, Facebook said no. They canceled our rights manager, and now we rely on donations to be successful. Some people call it begging. I don't know about begging. I have a beard because I want to, and I'm not on a street corner. I do a job. Whether you find this to be work or not, I would challenge you to do one thing to accomplish each day, and we would see if you would get it done. Thank you, Anon from Perkins, Michigan, donated $40. Appreciate you. Anyway,
Anon.
The whole point is... if you want to help out the Dumb Show, you can by going to linktapgo.com/the Dumb Show. We're at $29.40.33 raised. We're about $560 from our goal. Make that $539.
Thank you, Sandra.
$438.84 shy. So if you can help us out, it'd be great to hit it tonight so we can ignore it and move on. Anyway, thanks for the big intro. Leroy, we had a question from a viewer named Tommy. Tommy's been on here a long time, and everybody knows who Tommy is. He says, "Hey, Leroy Brown, can I ask you a question?" He says, about kids on the spectrum in DM. My son is and trying to get advice on some things with him, is what he says. And ultimately, I'll clarify because that's not quite what he's asking. The DMs, I asked, hey, can we just go ahead and do it on air? Because I know there's people who are interested. It's to see if they can help get him motivated to do basic things, basic challenges. The older he gets, how do you keep your child who's on the spectrum motivated and moving forward?
I'll tell you, that is a constant challenge, and not through any fault of his own. Basically, you have to keep reminding him that, hey, if you want certain things, you are going to have to work for them. And so what you want to do is start off small. Keep the challenges and the rewards small, but let them get bigger as each challenge grows, right? So if the idea is, and I don't know how old your child is, but let's say your first car, for example, right? My son, we helped him, right? We gave him some money, but we also told him, hey, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to, push carts for a period of time in order to afford the car that you want. And we helped him out. We took him to and from work, and we got him there on time. And he hated it during the winter time, and he hated it when it rained, but he did it. And he put enough of his own time into that to so that when it came time for him to actually buy the car, he felt some serious level of pride in it. It wasn't anything that was gifted to him. It wasn't anything that was just like, well, that's nice. No, because he worked for it, he understood then what that reward ratio was. And I would say to keep those kind of tasks realistic, and to keep the rewards realistic, and just gradually increase everything from there. And really just ask them on the front end of things, is this something that you want? Because this is the effort that you're going to have to put into getting to that point.
Not that this has anything to do with on the spectrum, because I don't have a special needs child, but I think something that just took place with my own son is day before last, we were playing a video game, and it's called Elder Ring. And I've talked about it many times in the show. It's very difficult. It's not an easy game, and it's challenging on purpose. And it's not like the games of old. It's hard. And I think it puts my son in a position that creates anxiety. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah. Is I want him to experience anxiety and stress so he knows how to cope with it. But you get so ingrained with his character, you three-dimensional look, you've got a sword, you got a torch, you're going through tunnels, and the graphics are, you become the character. I mean, you fine tune the way the character looks. This isn't like any other video game. It truly is, almost like a secondary persona. It's like Dungeons and Dragons on steroids, right? So you've got to be able to manage these things. So there are times when I'm just snapping at him and I'm not as patient as I want to be. And then there's other times where I'm like, you got this, man, go get him. And I see the productivity increase when I'm positive. And when I'm negative, the productivity goes down. And there are times where I get caught into that loop where I feel that raising my voice higher, and I'm not talking yelling, but I'm talking about he can hear the anxiety in my voice. So what's happening is not only does he have the anxiety from the game, but now he's anxious from the expectations that I place on him and his unrelenting belief that he can't let me down. So I called him up. That's why we were late for the show. I called him up and I said, hey, there were a couple times I'm telling you how to do something. I was running on the elliptical and I was working out and I came off to help you, but we had to be really quick and you weren't listening to me and I got frustrated. I want to apologize for doing that. But if you expect me to treat you with patience and kindness and love, you have to set the table for that by listening and doing your best to execute what I'm telling you so you can be successful. Does that make sense? And he's like, yep. And just want to let you know, after he said that to me, I went down there, I did a loop, I got all the guys, I cleared them out, and I got a safe spot, and I'm ready to go, and everything's fine. And then, so the point is this, is that the power of positivity isn't how I learned. It's not how Leroy learned. We didn't get that in our home life. We didn't get that in the military, and we don't have it now because we're married. So the power... the power of positivity,
not to each other, not to each other.
Well, yeah, because it's illegal in his state. But the ability to have positive reinforcement, even when you're disappointed in somebody, is really hard. So that, especially with a special needs child, is you're not going to have those coping mechanisms and mechanisms that my child has. So it's going to be even more frustrating at times. And that's when you have to, and I know it's hard, but stop, walk away, take a breath, and stop whatever task you're doing and try to refill the confidence meter, so they can get that win. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but that's my advice. Not that I have a lot of advice or experience.
Something that you had said that I wanted to add on to is
Yeah.
that idea of challenges, that when you are not good at something, you have to be able to be willing to accept some level of failure in whatever it is that you do. And like in Jocko Willnick's book, he always talks about, like extreme ownership and this kind of thing. Jordan Peterson talked about this. The idea that you're good at everything right out of the gate. No one has ever had that ever. Right. So you have to be willing to take the hits, and you have to be willing to fail, and fail spectacularly where you can. Something I wanted to add to that was that do things that you're afraid of. For a long time, I was afraid of heights. And so one day I just got a wild hair at my ass to go skydiving, literally. And yeah, make sure that you're doing shit that frightens you. Make sure that you're doing things that you wouldn't normally do, things that you feel like it pulls you out of your comfort zone. Make sure you're doing those things, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to keep just tackling this, so I'm going to try to, bring it back to reality here, and not continue to just go down this path. But there's no such thing as failing and winning. Success and failure are simply matters of perspective based upon someone else's journey.
Right.
Listen to what I just said. Success and failure there's no such thing. It's based upon the perspective of others and where they're at on their journey.
Exactly.
Example, I have no business critiquing Tom Brady, but I do. Why? And what does it matter? Because my experience on my journey is I never played quarterback in my life. I've watched and I've assessed, and I can tell when someone's throwing off the back of their heel. I can tell when someone's rotating their wrist. I can tell when someone's not bringing, that full throw and release capability properly, but I can't go do it. So when I go to Tom Brady, I'm like, Tom, listen, come here, come sit down with me. Let me explain to you how to be successful in the NFL. And Tom Brady's going to look at me and he's going to be like, dude, do me a favor. Go play hide. Yeah, play hide and go F yourself. So that doesn't matter. Now, if John Elway sits down with Tom Brady and says, hey, I've got some feedback for you and I want to provide it for you. Now you're going to listen. But that still is going to be Elway's perspective on your success and your failure. That is not your own. So it's really important that this statement I'm going to say right now is the key to life. And it's been put many other ways, and I don't know if you all have heard it before, but it's fairly accurate. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yep.
And it is absolutely true. Like every time that I start comparing myself to other podcasters, I want to quit. I look at PPD and I'm like, how can I will never be better than him. And I've got people who swear that I'm already am. And I look at Joe Rogan and his interview techniques and I'll never do that. I'll never be that good. And people will say, well, there's interviews that you've done that I like just as much. So when you compare yourself to others, you're setting an unreasonable benchmark. Allow others to compare themselves to you. And that will define your success. Don't listen to the feedback. Don't listen to but if they come to you like Damani and says, hey, I want to be on the show. Or when Dominic Izzo was involved, or when Ryan Weaver reaches out because I did his logo on his coffee a year and a half ago. And then all of a sudden he reaches out and says, hey, I want to be on the show. That's how you measure your success, is the people who you emulate and try to not copy, but learn from, start knocking on your door, that's your success. And it's not, everyone will always have somebody will have more followers. Somebody will have more downloads. Somebody will try to have a hotter wife. That's where I win. But you've got to find a way not to compare yourself to where you want to be, but compare yourself to where you are. And look around you and identify the people around you and say, am I at a place that the people that I admire and respect are actually involved in my life? And if they're not, then you have work to do. And your goals should be to get those people in your shadow and your network before going anywhere else, because you're not ready for the next step. That's the best advice I can give you, but it's so true. It's just, comparison is the death to inspiration. It's the death to success. It's the death to self-motivation. Like, quickly, working out tonight. Like, the weight that I'm at right now, when you look at me, is I don't look fat. And I know I'm not fat, but I know I got 10 pounds in the middle. I know where I used to have, a year and a half ago, abs and glutes and everything else. I know that area has put on some weight sitting in this chair. So if I'm like, okay, I'm going to go run for a week, and if I don't have those results, if I compare myself to where I was, I'm going to quit, because it took a year to put on 10 pounds. It's going to take hard work to get it off. It didn't go on in one night. It will not come off in one night. So when you compare yourself, you're just stealing your motivation. So instead, set yourself a realistic goal, which is, yesterday I ran 1.5 miles. Today I wanted to run 2. So I did, and I wanted to do it 2 minutes quicker. I didn't get to the 2 minutes quicker, but at least I did my stuff. And then I said, okay, tomorrow, what am I going to want to do? I'm going to hit 3 miles. Okay. And I'm going to try to do that in 18 minutes. That's hard. At a 50-year-old man, the average person runs a full mile in about 6:50 to 7 minutes. So I'm setting myself goals. And then I promise you, if I do that work for 60 days, by October, not only will my body be completely back to where I want it to be, it will enhance and I will be successful. But if I compare myself to where I was every single day, I'm going to be disappointed. And eventually that will overtake my inspiration to be successful. So long answers, but I hope it's beneficial, because if you can change that mentality now, I promise you, your life will get better. That's why when people come on and they're like, you only have, 2,000 followers. My high school was bigger than that. I listened to them and I let it get me down. And then what did they do? They said it when I had 20,000 followers. And they said it when I had 100,000 followers. Now they're saying it at 200,000. Now my network all in is close to 250. 250,000 people. That is a success. I think it is.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So you've got to understand. But when I was first starting out, I'm like, I got to hit 250,000. I set myself a goal that it was going to be almost 4 years to hit 250,000, and we're close. So anyway, that's the advice I've got for you. All right. Anything, Liv?
Comparison is the birth of jealousy. Because when you compare somebody, you're jealous of them.
Oh yeah, that's another way to say it. Yeah, and I agree. Comparison is the birth to many things. It's the killer of joy. It's jealousy. Comparison is the creator of self-loathing. Comparison sucks. You should never do it. You should never compare yourself to your aspirations. You should only compare yourself to the same level that you're currently on, and ask yourself, are you leading in that level? And if you're not, then shut up and get to work and use those resources to get better. And that's what I've done. I've asked every single one of those people I mentioned and more, what can I do to get better? Where are we missing? I've said it to Leroy. I've said it to the mods. I've said it to the viewers. What can we do better?
You should always ask that.
Yeah, you should always ask that. All right. Amber says, run a mile. I'm afraid not ever. I would have said the same thing 7 years ago. 8. I couldn't get out of a chair. I couldn't walk. I was on so many painkillers that I couldn't even feel. So I will tell you this, run a mile. I'm afraid not ever. You're absolutely right. You're right.
Until you have to.
Or until you stop saying that and say, I'll run a mile in 3 months. And you set yourself a realistic goal.
You start off by running a half mile, you know? So
No,
you start off by run that half mile, give yourself 15 minutes, even if it's a light jog. It's something that you work up to. That's my point, is that you don't just go ahead and do this shit right out of the gate. Work up to it. Set realistic goals, baby steps.
Yeah. Olivia will tell you, I did 10 seconds on the treadmill and 1 push-up, and I almost died. My heart rate went up to like 196. I almost popped a vessel. Then the next day I did 20 seconds and I did 2 push-ups. And, then all of a sudden I'm benching, 325 without a spotter, and I'm doing squats of the same value. Now I've got titanium rods in my back, so those pop and we're toast. So then I'm paralyzed. So there's only so much weight I can do in a squat, but when I started out, I was doing 10-pound dumbbells. Now I curl 75s. There's not many. Do you know how many people on the planet can curl a 75-pound dumbbell? There's not many people. There's not many people on the planet who can. There's not many people on the planet who can do 10 pull-ups. There's not many. Dude, you're in the top 1% if you can bench. I think it's 190 pounds. Like you're in the top 2 or 3% of all humans. So your goals, I mean, that's the bar, and it's 245 plates is 180. So you don't even need that. You just need a 45 plate, 225s, and the bar, and you've hit 190. You can do that, but most people can't. So you got to set goals, and you got to start slow. And the same thing is with your mental faculties. If you're trying to be able to recite and learn the entirety of the Constitution and everything that it's about, and you're not going to do it. But if you go ahead and say, listen, I'm going to study the First Amendment and not just understand the general understanding, but how it's practically applied in society and what laws has it been based on, and read everything you can on why that is important, I promise you in 30 days, you'll be an expert. All right. Anything else on this topic? Let me give you another one. Olivia does cross stitching. And when she first started, something would take her forever and a day. She did the don't unfriend me sign. She's done a lot of things, and it would take her a long time. Now she did, and this is cross stitched on a piece of. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It says cross stitched. So that would take her, 3 months. Now she did Ethan's thing in like a week.
Yeah, I think it's been 2, and I'm about 40% done.
Yeah. So just something to think about. All right. We're going to shift gears because it's Monday. We know that audience comes a little bit late on Monday, but we're going to get started. Leroy, can you believe it's been 3 years since Afghanistan? Not like all of Afghanistan, but you get my point.
Yeah. I know what you mean. The withdrawal. Botched withdrawal.
Oh,
During my season, I had to go and participate in one of the annual ceremonies for one of the members that lived here in Ohio who passed, and that was rough. And it's not political, right? It's just that it was like, how could we have let this happen? That whole time really, it stung bad for me anyway.
Yeah. I was going through it and I was seeing if I could remember the names, and I think I got 11 out of 13 of the names still, because it was important to remember. There was Picardio, G, Hoover, Lopez, Page. Where am I at? 5 or 6?
It's 5.
6 Sanchez, Espinoza, Schmitz, McCollum. Ones like Merloa, Nakui, Sovic, and Naus, I believe. Naus those are all the 13, if I'm not mistaken. It was 11 Marines, 1 Army, and 1 Navy, right, Leroy?
Yeah. Yes. So the Navy HM who passed away, his name was Maxton Soviak, and he actually his burial site is not too far from me. It's only about an hour. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's 13. And I look at that, and I don't think Americans remember. I think they remember the 13. I think they remember the event. I think they understand it was Afghanistan, but I don't think they remember what a horrible job Joe Biden and his team did.
Yeah.
And today, this is gonna frustrate everybody. And here are the 13th. And did I get Soviak? I think I did. Yes, I did. I might have said Soviak. It's Soviak. No, I said Soviak.
Oh, yeah.
Here are the people who died. There's all 13. And I think about what was important to people then. And this was it.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, checking out his watch, and then the caskets where everyone said those caskets are fake. It's not a real photo. And it's like, the controversy, this was George Floyd time. This is when, he was taking a knee for Floyd, and how a criminal got more respect than the 13 who passed. And I look at that and it frustrates me, because it's not like this is when everything went bad, but it certainly is when we still do this. This is a picture. I believe this is at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It looks that way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And they did a wreath ceremony here. And Donald Trump came down and did the ceremony. So here it is. Watch this. Let me get the sound transferred over. All right, here you go. Now, there's a couple things I notice. Leroy will notice it right away, too, because, oh, shit.
I noticed something, too.
Where is my brother? Olivia noticed something. Hold on. Let me get Leroy in here. Sorry, Bubba.
No, you're all right.
Hold on.
Where'd I go?
Yeah.
We don't like you, Leroy. We're trying to
I
hide
got
your
no
face.
All right. Where the hell? There he is. Liv, what did you notice?
That both Trump and the soldier in front were perfectly in sync when they were walking.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true. Now, a lot of people don't understand. They think Donald Trump was a draft dodger and called him Captain Bone Spurs. Now, I want to be clear. I had to blow somebody up online about this. Is the whole Bone Spur things and the podiatrist, this was actually referred to by the daughters that said that it was like family talk around the table, that Donald Trump, he didn't have bone spurs, but they didn't have any proof, and it was just hearsay. Folks, First of all, if that doctor did that, he absolutely broke the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm. And those are confidential conversations and records between Donald Trump and the doctor. And for him to tell his family, all they're doing is bringing discredit on the doctor. And if that's what he did, but there is no proof of that. Listen, Joe Biden got deferments. Ronald Reagan got deferments. Plenty of presidents got deferments. And I'm not here. Military service is hard. Okay. I don't know if you know this, but it's hard. It's not easy. The regiment, the discipline, the physicality, the mentality, the education, the way you have to learn how to eat, how to walk, how to talk, even when to take a crap, all of it, it's hard. And it's not for everybody. Just like being a stockbroker isn't for everybody. Just like being a quarterback isn't for everybody. Being in the military isn't for everybody. But Donald Trump has more military experience than Joe Biden. Donald Trump has more military experience than Ronnie Reagan. Joe Biden has more experience than Barack Obama because Donald Trump went to a military academy when he was younger. Just that alone earns a ton of respect because if you haven't been to a military academy, it is very much like the military, including a boot camp, including a regiment, military discipline, and he excelled at it. In fact, he became one of the leaders of the class in his military academy. One of the student leaders, student command. So does that mean he served his country? No. But does it mean that he had the chops to do it? Yes. And the fact at his age that he's military step downstairs, Joe Biden would have tripped over his own feet. Kamala Harris would have tripped over her feet. The fact that he does that commands respect because he does respect our military. We'll watch the rest of this, but first, Leroy, go ahead.
If you're going to rag on presidents who have either dodged the draft or, whatever their disposition of their military service may have been, I would just ask that everyone look at it in the context of, hey, look, did this person dodge a draft from the perspective of the most left of media outlets? And if so, okay, did they start any new wars?
Right.
Did they put our children and our daughters, did they put them in harm's way by creating a new war or by getting us somehow involved in a situation where we knew there would be a war or a battle or a conflict? Because if you dodged a draft, okay, then went off and said, oh, look, I'm just going to go ahead and start World War III and we're all in now, right? And we just, our military mobilizes and, next thing you know, we're on 3 different continents. Okay, that's a bad example, right? That's someone who you'd be like, all right, look, he didn't risk anything of his own, right? But here we have Trump, who didn't start any new wars. And even though he may have found a way to not serve directly in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, he may have done some supporting role or he may have donated money. I don't know. But during his presidency, he also didn't go out of his way to put anybody in harm's way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Listen, if Kamala Harris can change her entire platform from being a progressive socialist for her entire life, and we somehow have to believe, fine. Donald Trump called soldiers suckers and losers, even though he didn't. Donald Trump hates the military, even though he doesn't. Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. But today, well, he looks like a born-again military supporter to me. So if Kamala Harris can change, why can't other people change? Well, it's because Kamala Harris hasn't changed. And Donald Trump hasn't changed either. He has always respected the military. Thank you, Rachel Maddow. We appreciate it. Folks,
Rachel.
If you have some extra scratch and you're looking to help out the Don't Unfriend Me show, we're at the end of the month. We appreciate, we're very close to our goal. Your help would be much appreciated. Go to linktapco.com/thedumbshow. Mad Cow, whatever, I don't care. That's too much work for me. So you should just be like, we just got a donation from Rachel Mad Cow because I can't hardly even see it. Anyway, my point is that Donald Trump in every way, shape, or form has always been this way. Now, people are like, this is a president's job. What does he think he's doing? Okay, well, let me explain. This isn't a president's job. Many people can request to put out wreaths for the remembrance events that happen in Washington every single day. You can request to do that with the family if you have a reason to do so. Veterans who coin graves, go and mourn with their family members and put wreaths down when they may not be invited, and they are allowed to go ahead and volunteer to support other families through that. This is beyond you people. And the you people who I mean are the people who are not in the military. We are a family, we are a community, and although we may rib each other and joke with each other, we have an unfound and undying love for our brothers and sisters in arms. And it is a fraternal order that you don't get to be a part of unless you did it. So don't tell us that Donald Trump can't do this, because he can, and he does it well. The last thing I want to mention is she is not in step with everybody, and she needs to get her shit together.
Oh my gosh.
Ouch.
Here's the last thing. Joe Biden, and this is the second to last thing to the last thing I said was the last thing. This would be great for the president to be there, but Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have no balls to show up here, because if they did, they would be ridiculed and mocked and laughed at for what they did. The second thing is Joe Biden just got done with a California vacation for a week, and he followed up that very tough experience by going on vacation yet again in Delaware. The man has been on vacation. Are you ready for this, Leroy?
Oh, I'm waiting.
761 days. Almost 2 years out of his 4 years, he has been off.
That's so wrong. Then who's running the country?
He is the number one president in history for vacation days taken.
Jeez.
And time off taken from his presidency. This man doesn't do a damn thing.
He's writing
Donald
it out
Trump,
now.
Yep. Donald Trump showed up. And I respect the guy who shows up more than I respect the guy who got 13 people killed. Here's a Navy veteran, and I hate bagging on Navy. Leroy's not going to like this. This is Navy veteran Brad Berkwit. Brad likes to think that he was a combat veteran. Brad, you were in the Navy. Shut up. Leroy's in the Navy. I've been in the Navy. And if we've seen any conflict between the three of us, it wasn't even anything remotely to what the Army and Marine Corps saw every single day in the junk. Yeah, we went through some training. I'm sure you did too. Yeah, we jumped out of planes. So did we. Yeah, you got dirty with guys and flippers. So did we. You're not a combat veteran.
In a good way.
Yeah, you're not a combat veteran. I don't even care if you were there. You're not a combat veteran. You were running intel if you were attached to anyone. And I don't know your background. I know that you've done CT. I know you've done language and linguistics. So you have some sort of background in intelligence. I believe. I could be wrong. That's what I thought you had done when I looked you up one time. But really, it makes me sad. You remind me of the skin that I've been trying to shed for 3 years, which is to not cuss on the show. You are the skin that I have shed, that Leroy have shed. We are veterans, but in no way, shape, or form do we use our veteran status for clout. You're a clout chaser. You're a foul-mouthed, just reprehensible human being. And here it is. Enjoy this.
Brothers and sisters, you fucking...
Oh, I must warn you, this language is bad.
Who's this guy?
This is Brad Berkwit. Look him up, dude. Because I was going to get his DD2, and I was going to send him over to Shipley and have Chief Shipley look him out and see. He's never claimed to be a SEAL. Here, let me look up his history. Hold on. His name is Bad Brad Berkwit.
On, that's so cute.
If you got to call yourself
aroused.
All right, so boot camp, Great Lakes.
It just
hey, do you want to hear this?
Dude off of Independence Day.
Yeah.
Why am I sending my mother to Atlanta? That guy.
He's worse than that. It's the guy who played Hammer. Stacy. He was a big cokehead. And it doesn't matter. Now let me read his resume. He's in Intel. Yeah. That's right. He was in 86 to 2006. He got out 2 years after I upped. 16 and a half years working in the intelligence field. He served during war and peacetime, boot camp, Great Lakes, Illinois, Pensacola, Florida, Gulf War, 2 tours, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, Alexandria, Virginia. Okay, so this guy's an intel operator. I told you. Finishing up his career working at the Pentagon. We probably saw each other in the Pentagon if he finished his career there. Government contracting world, working for the Joint Improvised Explosive Device Defeat Organization at the COIC in Virginia for almost 3 years. Physical Security Office, also classified indoctrination supervisor. It doesn't say he was NSWAG, so he wasn't that shit hot at Intel, right, Leroy?
No, it doesn't sound like sounds like he was just an analyst and probably an average one.
Yeah, because if you didn't get if you were in 95, 96, then you should have gotten NSWAG with the teams.
Actually,
how do I know? Hold on. How do I know, Brad? Well, because I was one of the honorary first people to show up for NSWAG along with 12 others. So you weren't that good. Go ahead, Leroy.
Over his shoulder is the list of his awards.
I see it.
If we can blow that up, I'll tell you what the highest one on there was.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got a Pentagon service coin. I can see that. I've got the same one behind me. We've got the same coin.
I see a NAM.
Yep, I see NAM.
I see a JSAM.
Tell him what the NAM is. Navy Accommodation Medal.
The Navy Achievement Medal. Yeah.
Did I say Accommodation Achievement? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me blow this up. How do I go to full screen?
What's the green one with the white?
Oh, God. It's been too long. Are you kidding me?
I think that's like the Navy Marine Corps Commendation Medal. You know what? I see. Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me do this right.
I see what his highest is.
Hold on. Because I've got, my screen is really dark, so this is killing me. There we go. Much better. Now I can see. All right. So let's open that up. Okay. So he's got a good conduct medal with no cluster. So 19 years in, and you only got good conduct one time? Leroy.
That's probably out of date.
But what do you mean?
It's probably out of date.
What do you mean out of date?
Meaning he probably just never updated it.
Well, you telling me this is a retirement box, Leroy? It's a retirement box. Why does it? Listen, okay, time out.
I'm trying to.
He's got clusters on everything else, but he doesn't have a cluster on his good conduct medal.
Yeah.
16 years in, you should have 4. You should have 4 clusters on your good, because you got clusters on everything else. Go ahead.
The one that was to the right of that. No, you're right. The one to the right of that, I thought might have been a presidential unit commendation.
Presidential citation.
A puck, but it's not.
Yep.
I think that's his national defense.
Here, I'm going to tell you. See, I tossed all mine. I don't remember. Okay, so let's see. Let's go right here. So that's green and white. That's JSAM. So tell them what JSAM is.
So a joint service accommodation. Joint service achievement medal, JSAM.
Yep. Okay, then you've got the light blue with stripes.
I'm not sure. Maybe armed service.
No, that's the no. Right here is joint service accommodation medal. This is the JSAM.
Okay.
That's JSAM. This in priority.
JCOM maybe.
That's the only thing it could be if it's green. No, that's the Navy Marine Corps accommodation medal right there, and that's out of order. Okay, then it's out of order. Then he's got green, red at the end of that. And that is going to be Navy unit. That's a Navy unit commendation. I know that because I've got one. So this right here is Navy unit accommodation, and he's clustered. Clustered means he's got it more than once. This is Navy Good Conduct Medal, and this absolutely should have clusters on it. For every year of service, you put a cluster on that son of a bitch. for 16 years. So that means 1 year he got good conduct. So he could have been in some trouble.
Could have been.
I don't know.
Which makes sense, because if you're looking right above his hairline, those are the crows. And
Yep.
I'm only seeing up to E6. I don't see a chief.
Yeah, I don't see chief either. I see E6. Because you've got, this is his E4, this is his E5, and here's his E3 with 3 rocks.
Yeah.
So that's his E6. So he's
So
got E6.
I don't think he made chief. He sounds like he probably got out at 20 years.
No, 16. He did
Okay.
16. 16, and then he went civilian contractor. So the money got to him. So then here, this yellow and red one right here, that's National Defense Service Medal, I believe. Okay. Then this one right here. I don't think I know that one.
I think his highest one that I'm seeing on there, which is that green and white one, that's the Navy Marine Corps Commendation Medal, which is kind of a gimme at the end of someone's career.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got I don't see Kuwait Liberation on there. I don't see. Oh, he's got a Navy. This right here. This is Navy Recruiting Service ribbon. I've got that one.
I don't have that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I did 90 days TDY in the recruiting station. Anyway, so he served. He doesn't have an Afghanistan campaign medal, which is interesting. And I don't see an Iraq campaign medal either.
I don't have those.
He doesn't have global war on terrorism either. So I don't know. Yeah, that one you've got. All right. So now that we've got that done, and then he's got a Pentagon service. It looks like, I think that's just the United States Navy.
So that right there is the Command Career Counselor coin.
Okay. What's this one? I don't know what this one is.
I can't tell what that one is. It's too
that looks like it. That looks. Oh, I know what that is. It's right here. It's the hollowed out anchor, United States Navy. And what was this for? I don't even remember. God, there's so many of them. Oh, this is the Credo coin for Navy Intel.
Oh.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's a Credo coin. And then this looks like octopus up there or something. And I don't know what this is. I've seen this before. What is this? Do you know? This one right here? Okay.
No.
Then unit badge, and then salad in ribbon format.
So for 16 years, he made it up to E6. Got out with his highest award being kind of a give me, the Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal. So nothing crazy.
And let me explain to you something that he doesn't have that Leroy and I do have.
False.
And we know he didn't do anything downrange and he wasn't combat because he doesn't have his expert rifle and expert pistol.
Oh, dude, if someone of that level didn't put their information dominance or their EXW in that case, I would be shocked. And so it would make sense that he doesn't have either one of those.
I've got them.
Because you would if if you earned those are going in your shadow box, but I don't see them.
Do you have an expert rifle and expert pistol? Yes, you do.
I sure do.
And so do I. So I know he didn't do shit when it came to combat because he didn't have the basic qualifications to go down range. Folks, you don't go down range if you don't know how to handle yourself with a weapon, period. No unit, Army, Navy, British SAS, Royal Guard, National Guard. Nobody's going to allow you to go down range unless you know how to handle yourself because you're a liability. Here's the video. Sorry for the language.
Veteran who served for 20 as a veteran who served for 20 years and 28 days
16
during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, the Gulf War, and the Iraq War. Retired honorably and have upheld my oath every day since September 30th, 2006, my retirement day. But on this day, a fucking treasonous traitor who tried to overthrow the government on January 6th 2021, a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, liable for fraud.
An adjudicated rapist. That means innocent, by the way. Innocent of rape. So it's just a fancy way of saying that he's an innocent of rape, but he makes it sound like it's rape because most people don't understand adjudicated.
Degenerate, misogynistic pig, lying grifter who pushed Bibles and now pushing books about bullshit, was allowed to go to Arlington National Cemetery on no special day and lay a wreath. What the fuck and who in the fuck allowed this motherfucker to do that shit and defecate on our fallen soldiers that are buried there? You heard what I said, defecate. And you motherfucking maggot motherfucking veterans that are okay with this treasonous traitor, as I said, your fucking service means nothing because the oath that I took and the fucking oath that you took, you shitted on. But I want to know who.
Dude, this guy, I guarantee he got blanket partied in the birthing. I guarantee they rolled him in the service and nobody hung out with this fucking guy. Whenever shore duty took place, he was alone. I promise you.
What's this guy's name again?
Bad Brad Berkowitz.
All right, dummies.
Now,
if someone could share this portion of what I'm about to say to
no.
Brad.
Let's finish the video. We gotta finish the video, then we get reaction. He looks like Stacy Keach. There's Stacy Keach, and if he played Hammer in like 80s TV shows. I can't remember. He's a cokehead. He looks just like Stacy Keach. All right, let's go.
The fuck allowed this motherfucker to go today and lay this wreath for a fucking photo op at the expense of our fallen brothers and sisters? You fucking right, I'm pissed off. This motherfucker has no fucking low. Fuck every single motherfucker that walks this fucking planet that supports this rotten motherfucker.
So this guy was a boxer, and I've heard he did some good stuff, and he was a dude. You're not as. Go ahead, Liv.
You know who he reminds me of? He looks like he could step into the Sopranos show and fit right in.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's trying to fake like a New Jersey accent or something like that.
Hold on. Sorry, wrong button. Why is it doing this? Where's my scene? Hold on, everybody. I'm sorry, this is not working. Why is this doing this? My scene just completely okay, hold on. I got to do this. I'm sorry. It's going to play.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your host.
I mean, I know I look good, but
Yeah, you do.
not that good. I'll tell you what. Go ahead, Liv. Was there anything else you had on Bad Brad Berkowitz?
Bad Brad Berkowitz.
I'll tell you what. I'll fight him for $10,000 to our charity. I don't care. Boxing.
Goodness.
I would want that. I'll
fight him. I'll fight him for $10,000.
I'll fight him for $10,000. Fucking, I'll kick in his ass.
He looks like he's a guy who survived freaking stage 4 cancer and AIDS. I'm sorry. I mean, if they ever make a Philadelphia 2, he can star in it.
Now, I can't stop picturing Leroy. You said the dude from Independence Day.
It is pretty good.
Totally looks
pretty
just like him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Leroy, go ahead. Do your thing.
That was a great impersonation, too.
Yes. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. Bad Brad. That oath that you're talking about, it doesn't go to a person. It goes to the Constitution. And anybody who upholds the Constitution would know that. Anybody who honors that. So when you hold up your right hand, it's not to a president. It's not to Donald J. Trump or to Biden or to any other politician. It's to the Constitution. So to say that that person doesn't have the right to be there, even though he served as the president of the United States and did the exact, upheld the Constitution just like you and I did, I think you're out of your mind. And those fallen brothers and sisters that you're talking about, I mean, if you really want to make it political, whose fault was that? Why would President Trump have been there at all if we hadn't fucked up the withdrawal out of Afghanistan? So those same fallen brothers and sisters that you're speaking about, care to lay the blame there? So, Mr. Bad Brad, anytime you'd like to jump in the ring, I'm game.
I would love to box him, and I wouldn't box him. I don't know how to box.
Fucking kill him.
You know what's funny? Yeah, I would love to get a hold of him. By the way, Bad Brad blocked me.
Oh, bummer.
That badass Brad blocked me because he couldn't hang, and I didn't even go after him too hard. I just said, did you work with expeditionary units? I was like, what are your qualifications in small arms? Did you do any CQB? Hand to hand? Did you get dive pay and jump pay on your DD2? I asked him. He said to me, "You're blocked." This guy is such a fucking cupcake that he can't handle anyone challenging what he did. 16 years and E6, dude. I made E5 and 4.
Why would you go to 16 years and then get out when you only have 3 to go?
It's the money.
And the last one is going to be super easy.
With that mouth, you think he could pass HR training and all the freaking stuff that came down from Tailhook?
I bet it was high year tenure. I bet you he couldn't stay in. That's my guess.
Yeah, when you're an IS and you can't make rate, you're a shitbag. I'm just letting you know. If you can't make rank in being an intelligence specialist, then you're the worst. And the reason why is it's a closed rate. There's only 1,000 active ISs at any given time. And the retirement rate for ISs is you lose about 100 every year to 2 years. And that's a lot. So you got to bring the young people in. So if you can't make rate and rank in 16, you're a shitbag. Pardon my French. And shitbag's not cussing because that's a term of
no. That's actually what we call them.
It's a military term. You're a shitbag. If you can't do your job, and there's people on our watch, on Gold Watch and Blue Watch, who are shitbag. Who's coming in tonight? Snyder. Fuck, he's a shitbag. Yes. Sorry for the F word. So anyway, Bad Brad Berkowitz isn't that bad if he has to block people. And it's not like I don't block people, but I block people who are obnoxious and horrible. I'm just obnoxious. Liv, what do you think of Bad Brad Berkowitz?
I'd fight him for $10,000. What an asshole.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if he only had one good conduct medal, the reason why is because 2 years of that was training, and the other 2 years he got to his duty station. Oh. I bet you that's why he got it. And then when he was out in the fleet, he didn't get one ever again. What do you think, Leroy?
Think about that. So you just mentioned the one good conduct medal, and he was out by 16 years. Whatever it was may have been something more serious than we think.
That's right. You know, folks, it's not like I can't get his everyone's seen what magic I can get his DD-214. I have no problem getting it. And you know what he'll say? It's classified. No, bro, it's not. Some of the things you did, your jacket's classified, but your DD-214, we'll talk about where you deployed. It'll talk about your duty stations. It'll talk about your training. It'll talk about your rate. It'll talk about if you had any disciplinary action. There'll be amendments to that. So if you get downgraded in rank, it will be on your second page of your DD-2. Mine's no one page.
DD-214 has ever been that you would walk away with. Has ever been classified. Why? Because they're not going to give a classified piece of paper to someone and say, go out into town with it. It doesn't work that way.
That's like when you ask people about SEAL teams, like, what was your class number? They're like, it's classified. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. What's the color of the boathouse in Coronado?
I don't know. I've never been there.
There is no boathouse in Coronado. So little thing, you can't. The things that people don't understand, and that's from a movie called Ronin, by the way. Robert De Niro challenges a guy that said he was British Secret Service and SAS, and he's like, "It's not horrible, yeah, maybe it is." And he's just like, "What's the color of What's the color of the boathouse?" And wherever SAS, I can't remember the name of it, where British SAS training is. God, anyway, and the guy's like. He's like, there is no boathouse, you stupid son of a bitch, and he kicks him off the team. So the point is that if you it's classified. Like people ask me, like, what did you specialize as an IS? I can answer that question.
Sure.
Did you ever work with the SEAL teams? Sure, I can answer that question.
Sure.
What type of training did you do? I can answer that question. Well, where were you in 1997 and which country were you at? I'm not going to answer that question.
I can't tell you that one.
Not going to tell you that question, right? Hey, tell me who your master chief was for your unit. I'm not going to tell you that either. There's things, and that's not that big of a deal, but it depends on what your master chief does. And if you can make a correlation.
If I like the guy or not.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything because here's the thing. Because in intelligence, we don't do that.
No.
If you want to know what I did in the military, we can have a basic conversation. But if you want to start knowing dates and times in certain situations and line it up with geopolitical situations, now we're getting into an issue. If you want to talk about military hardware and start asking me questions, we have an issue. I will tell you what I know. I will not allow you to grill me for what I know. There is just a very different relationship that would require, and you don't possess the credentials to have that conversation with me. So that's
it makes me wonder if Bad Brad actually had those credentials. I'm sure he did.
It makes me wonder, listen, you guys, you can see my office. Okay. I've got a flag of someone buried. I've got a flag that was gifted to me. I've got one made out of wood. I've got my father's M1. I've got my AR. I've got some coins you don't see my service medal. You don't see me getting paddles and flippers. Okay. Because, and everyone, I can't tell you how many times people go, he's a SEAL. Somebody just said it on my page on one of my ads, and they're like, U.S. Navy SEALs go. And I said, yeah, man, U.S. Navy SEALs go. I'm not one of them. So when you have a person who's in the military who humbles themselves, that's a person you can trust. When you have someone who just constantly self-gratification and self-aggrandized behavior, that person didn't do anything. But when you're like, I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, you know what I would say? I was overseas and I was in country, but I didn't see combat. If you don't do that, people are going to assume that you're a combat vet. Now, I promise you this. If I laid down what I've done and what Leroy's done, you guys would say, and most people who are in would say, Matt and Leroy were combat veterans. We're not. It doesn't matter that we went downrange. It doesn't matter we deployed with people. It doesn't matter that we did some of the same things that those people were trained to do in order to qualify to be with them. But that doesn't make you a combat veteran. People don't understand the intelligence world, and they don't understand the way ISs work. And there are two different types of ISs. There's support IS, and then there's tactical intelligence. Operational intelligence. Those are people who actually get out and do something other than sitting in a jig. So there's a difference. But that difference and distinction, it's a very fine line between support and combat. It's a very fine line. And there is a very big difference. Okay? Okay, good. Glad we had this talk.
Yeah, Bad Brad. Back to him. Right?
What a douche.
Or no?
Yeah, go ahead, get him.
No, I really don't care. It didn't do anything for me. Like the attitude, the pomp that he was throwing, the attitude that he was throwing out right out of the gate. One of how dare you motherfuckers do this and that and this and that. That same attitude that you're throwing out is the same attitude that you're condemning from the former president. I just want you to know that, Bad Brad. That the same level of attitude that you were projecting seems to be the same attitude that you hate from the former president. And I'll just be honest with you, a guy like that, you can't stand being in your unit. You just can't stand him because he's an arrogant dick and he's got rank. And he's an E6 that thinks he earned it. Like walking around with his crow and, he's all golded out on his freaking dress blues, and you're just looking at him and you're like, oh, I can't tell you what a douchebag you are because I'm an E4 or an E5. You're not NGFC, man, not good enough for chief. That's it. You're NGFC.
You're just that's who you are. All right. Anyway, now that we've established that, Olivia wants to talk about two things. One, she doesn't know she wants to talk about, and two,
Oh,
is
surprise!
she is going to talk about. I want to be really careful. I'm going to say something. And I truly believe this with all my heart. And I want to say it I just want to say it with a straight face. I think big women are beautiful. I don't care. Most of the women that I've dated are not of Olivia's quality, but are pretty. Some people beautiful, slender, and just good looking women. And I have dated what some people would say are heavier set women. It doesn't bother me. When my wife was pregnant and she was,
175 pounds.
Eskimos were trying to harpoon her.
Oh God. Yes.
I loved her exactly the way she was. And I don't think there's anything wrong with big women. Now, morbidly obese, that is a completely different conversation. But if you're a size 16, I don't care. If you're a size 12, I don't give a crap. It doesn't bother me. Beauty can be found anywhere. And you just have to change your mindset. And the person truly, I've seen some of the most beautiful women become uglier than all hell simply because of their attitude. And I've seen some women who people would consider ugly, who were the sweetest, who got better with age. So when I do this, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. This is, let me blow this up. That was no pun. Sorry. This is Hunter McGrady, Sports Illustrated cover. Not cover model, Sports Illustrated model.
What's her name?
Hunter McGrady. And I will tell you, Hunter McGrady from the neck up is smoking hot.
I was gonna say her face doesn't match her body.
She is smoking. She's smoking hot. I mean, gorgeous. And I don't care about her body. And it honestly, that's pretty obese, right? That is somebody who is 200 plus pounds, who is pretty freaking heavy. But honestly, if I wasn't married and I met her in a bar and she came up to me, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're a dog. Get away from me." Certainly not. I don't know if I would have anything more than a conversation, but she's attractive. And honestly, the body, I don't care. It just doesn't bother me. But this and sport do not go together. Unless she is a Japanese sumo wrestler or a 500-pound shot putter or somebody who drinks beer by the keg, this is not a sport. I want to get your opinion. Is this damaging? As I also think that Kate Moss has no business being a sport cover model. That is also disgusting. And the other end of the spectrum. I think there is natural beauty and natural health, and this ain't it. Go ahead. Liv, you first.
Okay, so a couple things. For more power to her for getting up and doing that.
Yeah.
Because in today's day and age, when looks are everything for a woman, women can be canceled for their looks. I mean, I'm a size 6, and if I went into the modeling world, I would be considered
fat.
What was it? Plus size model.
Yeah.
That's size 6. I mean, just ridiculous. So the fact that she's doing that, great. That's awesome. And the fact that she's walking a runway, I mean, you have to be like a size 0 to walk a runway. So that right there is awesome. And that's great. And the fact that those doors are opening.
It's a great shot. Beautiful picture.
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. And the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition is not about sports. It's about scantily clad women in bathing suits and seductive poses to get men to buy the magazine. That is what that is about. It has nothing to do with sports. Now, if she was in the actual magazine, and an article was done on her about physical fitness, there would be an issue with that. But plus size women, I think, can make beautiful models. And I'm totally okay with that. And that does not gross me out in any way, shape, or form. And to be completely honest, she's got more confidence than me because I wouldn't do that. So I'm not confident enough to be out there in a bikini and being shown to the world. Nope, I'm good.
Before Leroy goes, I'm going to tell, okay, guys out there who chronically masturbate to the JCPenney catalog with turtle wax, if that woman appeared at the end of your bed and said, I'm going to ride you 12 ways to Sunday, none of you would turn it down. I wouldn't. She's a beautiful, just people need to shut up, okay? Kate Moss was a horrible, horrible comparison contrast for young girls, and so's this. But guess what?
Kate Moss was unhealthy. I'd rather be on the other end of the spectrum than Kate Moss because that's unhealthy.
Yeah, this is too. This is a coronary, this is CPD
Yeah,
waiting to happen. But I don't care because your standards are so whacked that at least she's not eating 2 almonds a day and still throwing up in order to make weight. Leroy, go ahead.
90% of the women in America look like that. And so there's nothing wrong with portraying an actual realistic, hey, this is what most of the women in America actually look like. They are not all, you know, and Olivia, you're probably in the 1% of people who can say that, hey, I'm a size 6. Most women are not. And so I think that it's great that we're coming to a point in society where somebody who you know, may have some, you know, we'll say some weight issues, but still has the confidence to go out there and just show the world what she is. I loved it. Love it.
Yeah, I've got no problem with it either. I really don't. And you want to know why? Here's the real reason, because the next segment. Because America, that's why. Because in other parts of the world, she would be stoned to death and acid would be thrown on her face. In a lot of places in the world, she would be shamed for who she is. At least in the United States, you can do that. So I got to say, I'm not for the woke stuff at all. But to me, showing somebody as they are isn't woke.
No.
It doesn't bother me to have a woman who's like the movie Jack, or the TV show Jack Ryan. They made Dr. Ryan, female side, the neurosurgeon, a heavier set woman in the TV show, and she's gorgeous. It honestly looks a lot like her.
Yeah.
Not as heavy, and she's gorgeous, and she's a plus size type. And I even told Olivia, I'm like, she's freaking beautiful, and she's probably a size 12. Who cares? Who cares? It does. We have so many other things to worry about. We've got to learn that maybe there are people her size who need to wear swimsuits, and they have every right to see what that would look like. And that's the way it is. Yeah. Hold on. We got a call. Caller. You gotta mute your phone, caller. Caller, you gotta mute your phone.
Muted.
All right, turn the show off. What do you want to talk about?
Exactly what you're talking about the plus size women.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm over 70.
Yep.
I can remember back 50 years ago, women didn't look like that. I'm not trying to be an antagonist. I'm just saying it was a different generation then, and women did not look like that.
Agreed.
If you look back on any 50s, 60s, even go back to 40s calendars, women were not plus size. They were vivacious. They were gorgeous. It wasn't until our food processing developed and started making people fat and turning them into what you're looking at right now. That's my comment. I'd like to have your retort.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a retort. I think Marilyn Monroe was a lot bigger than people think.
She was a 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Size 13.
Marilyn Monroe was absolutely not an itty bitty. Here it is. If we're going to go back to it, look at her thighs. She is wearing a tight swimsuit. She was very much a plus size. There were plus size models back then, but you're absolutely right. Processed refined sugars are the killer. High fructose corn syrup is a killer. It's not in my diet at all. I refuse to have it. And I'll be honest with you, I bloat like a balloon with high fructose corn syrup. I have gotten it out of my diet. I don't drink soda. I eat relatively healthy. But you're right. I think there's two different conversations. We need to talk about the overall recommendation of food intake and healthy eating is one thing. And although she does not promote a healthy lifestyle, I still think it's okay for a woman, if she wants to go ahead and show a swimsuit and she's comfortable doing that, then by all means go for it. But I think there needs to be a caveat, and she should not be saying this is a healthy lifestyle. I think if you're going to do that and put yourself in the public eye, you need to be honest. But we have to hold the same standard for people like Kate Moss too, who don't condemn the way they look. And don't say that you shouldn't be anorexic and you shouldn't be throwing up. We didn't have those expectations for her. So I think society has also changed. It's not just the physical appearance of people and it's our norms. It's that people have double standards, and that wouldn't have flown. In 1950, Kate Moss wouldn't have flown. And that woman may not have flown in 1950. But in today's day and age, I would rather have a woman who is big than a woman who's throwing up and starving herself and taking diet pills and methamphetamines in order to hit weight. To me, I think that's crazy. Well, what was your first name, caller?
This is Frank.
Oh, hey, Frank. Sorry, but I recognize your voice. I wasn't sure. Go ahead.
That's okay, man. Hey, look, I totally agree with you. You can't go the opposite direction. Anorexia is not a good thing either. But that being said, what we're looking at right now and condoning the heavier weight, the way I look at this has all got to do with the way we've been fed, the way our food has been processed, the way they're trying, exactly what Kennedy is talking about right now. And I don't know if people will agree with me or not, and I don't really care. This is just what I think. And I think he's absolutely right. They're poisoning us. Look at what they're doing to our kids. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I remember growing up, and what they're calling natural food now, or non-processed food.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we used to eat. That was the norm. And look how we've progressed. Look how they've taken this down and they've made food cheaper, and it's not healthy. I totally agree with what the man says. I don't care that anybody doesn't want to agree with him hooking up with Trump. I don't look at all that. I look at what they're talking about. Kind of like what Martin Luther King said, don't judge a person by, his looks or whatever, but judging by what he says. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at
but when I judge RFK,
what's good for our country.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
No, I was just going to say, I think they both, and the thing that blows me away is how Republican and Democrat joined together. I never thought I'd see that in my life. They both want the same thing. And I think what they want is what the people need to look at. They want something good. And the Democrats do not want that for us. You go ahead, Matt.
No, Frank, I appreciate it. But listen, I want to be clear. RFK went to Trump not because he had all of a sudden a predilection to be a Republican. He specifically said he's doing it to shove the middle finger at the Democrats. He felt snubbed by the media and the Democrats, and he is doing this out of spite. So that's very clear.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
I do not disagree with that.
Okay.
However, when I think the reason he went to the Democrats was he wanted a chance. He wanted to give them a chance to let him do some good. When he saw that he was shunned, he said, screw this. I, I can't deal with you people because you are not thinking along the same lines that I am. That's what I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that's why he switched over, because he saw an opportunity not to make himself better, but to go along the lines of how people are starting to switch over and think today. And I think they're realizing that the Democrats are not the party of, oh, let's all make everybody great. They have never been like that. They've never been like that. They have constantly downtrodden the blacks. They've used them to, I mean, I'm just stunned, but I'm starting to see all the things that I'm watching online, and black people are finally starting to turn around. They're starting to understand that the Democrats are not their party. And I think this is what the Republicans are trying to do, is to draw the right people in, to get people to take care of our country, to just come together and realize the wrong that's being done right now by the Democrat Party. I don't mean to sound like I'm totally against the Democrats, but in a way I am, because I'm watching what they say, I'm watching what they do, and it's socialist, communist stuff that they're portraying.
There is no more Democrat. Frank, there is no more Democrat Party. The Democrat leadership left with Nancy Pelosi. Now, a lot of you people hate Nancy Pelosi, but she was actually a moderate. You don't have to like her. She was just really good at political activism inside of her own party. She was a pain in the ass. But every single one of us would take her in a New York minute if she was really a Republican, because she's a bulldog. And Gene Fitzpatrick had the same type of blood. Margaret Thatcher had the same type of blood. I don't like Nancy Pelosi, but like I said, it's kind of like that shithead that's on the football team that you don't like, but you would take him in a New York minute on your team. Nancy Pelosi, compared to these new progressives, is moderate, which is terrifying. Frank, the second thing I was going to say is I think RFK makes some very good points. I think he also says some things that are completely left field.
Agreed.
Here's my take. If you ran for a Democrat less than a year ago, switched parties and went to independent, and ran as an independent less than a year ago, and now have left the independent and become a Republican and joined that ticket, consistency is the inconsistency is the only consistency in your game. I will say what I've said with Tulsi Gabbard. I will say what I said for Dave Rubin. Give me 5 years of voting Republican and showing loyalty to the Republican Party, and then I will consider you one of us. Until then, you are among us, and you're sus, and I don't trust you. And anybody who plays video games knows what I just said. Frank, thanks for calling, buddy. I always love having you on. It's good to hear from you, Bubba.
All right, man. Love you. Take care.
Ditto. Love you too. All right, Leroy, thoughts on that call? I mean, a little bit longer, but I would like to get your thoughts.
No, I think he addressed just more or less something that probably doesn't get enough attention, which is this idea that, I'm sorry, I got to put my mic back down, that dietary and caloric intake and where those calories come from has evolved over the last 40 years. That the diets that people had 40 years ago is not the same diets that we have today. And that's largely due to fast food, right? 40 years ago, people understood what breakfast meant. 40 years ago, breakfast was a breaking the fast. And largely it was just from the leftovers from yesterday's dinner. That's what breaking the fast meant. Was whatever the leftovers were from the night before dinner, that's what we're going to have in the morning. But we don't do that anymore. Somehow, over the last 40 years, we've gotten to this point where food is so accessible because it's so cheap to make at times, that we just kind of take it for granted, and some people, I'm one of them, I abuse it. And food is so easy to get now that it's a comfort thing. It's not like it was 50 years ago.
Yeah, great points. Totally. I want to get your points on diets. Real quick, folks, we are at 29.72.29 for our goal of 3,500 for the month. If you have not had a chance and you're just watching the show for the first time, maybe this is your 7th or 8th time. If you're in a situation where you take care of the kids back to school, you've got their clothes, you got their stuff, their supplies, maybe your grandma and grandpa, and you've thrown some money to the kids for school or a clean bedroom, everything looks good. You've got your vacation, last minute vacation, if you have one planned, you've donated some money to the military. Maybe you consider helping out the Don't Unfriend Me show. We are 100% funded by the viewer. We changed all of our models. We took off ads off everything. We've got a great app coming for your phone where almost everything Thursday it's going to launch. We are working real hard for you. If you have the ability to help us, we appreciate it. linktapgo.com/DUM Show. You give $1, $5, $10. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do, we appreciate you, and you get your name and lights, and we'll tell you how great you are. I will tell you this: is it's not just the food. You can eat 2,000 calories of McDonald's every day and lose weight. The problem is eating 2,000 calories at McDonald's is one meal. Cortisol is a killer. It's not cholesterol that gives you heart attacks, folks. It's not cholesterol that clogs your arteries. It's the preservatives and the swelling of your body and how much water you're retaining. And the water sits in your fat cells. It slows down the ability for muscle growth. It replaces and destroys muscle because the muscle can't stand the overall pressure on your body. And what happens is you have the narrowing of the arteries. And when you put that much pressure on your heart and your arteries, they will go ahead and get plaque buildup, and then you will die. So it's not the cholesterol that kills you. It's the pressure on your body. Cortisol happens because we don't get enough sleep, we have too much anxiety, and we don't have a release. People who say, it's the food that's making me fat. If you don't get out and work out 30 minutes a day, that's walking around your neighborhood. Yep. I can't do push-ups. You can't do push-ups because you don't walk. You don't have to run. You can walk. You can get a rowing machine. That is probably the least aggressive impact on your body. A rowing machine is fantastic. A stationary bike is fantastic. Either way, you can even get a pedal for your floor and sit on your couch and at least move your legs. And that's more than what you're doing right now. This right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, with your finger. Do this while you're sitting down. Every 10 minutes, you burn a calorie. Anything, motion is important. So I want people to understand, sure, it's the food, but we're also eating 4,300 calories a day and not doing any exercise. That is going to kill you. Okay. All right, good. Liv, any comments on this topic before we get to your big, heavy topic that needs to be encroached upon?
Big and heavy topic.
Big and heavy topic. No, let's just go straight to the next one.
All right. So I want to watch a video, and Olivia showed me a very concerning article. If you remember, when the 13 and we pulled out of Afghanistan, a lot of vets were upset. And the reason why is because we knew what it would go to. The Taliban are a terrorist organization. You can sit here and pretend they're not, but they're terrorists, and they are evil. And we told you that after a couple of years, they were going to get comfortable, and then they would start implementing Sharia law because they are a Sharia nation. And now we are seeing the fruits of our labor for 21 years in Afghanistan, that it was all for naught. Here's a video, and then Olivia's going to tell us
losing their rights.
Tell us all about it. Do you want to tell us first, Liv?
Sure.
Why don't you tell us first, then we'll watch the video.
Okay, so it's the new laws are the virtue and vice laws, which I'm still confused on what vice is, but that's what they're calling them. So basically,
wait, you want to know what a vice is?
Yeah, it says virtue and vice.
Vice is a sin. Vice is something that is morally wrong. It's a vice.
Gotcha.
Masturbation is a vice. Doing a line of cocaine every morning off of a 12-year-old's hip bone, that's a vice.
Yeah.
I'm just making. Hey,
Yeah.
nothing. I meant a 12-year-old puppy. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so new rules, in the last couple of years, they've reinstated women can't go past elementary school for learning. There's so many rules. They can't go past 6th grade. They can't go into secondary learning in education. That's started again.
Holy God.
There's just so much that they weren't able to do.
Well,
but
let's hear
now,
it. What else?
Let me see. I have to go down to the article.
That's okay. And take your time. Just let's hear it.
Sorry.
That's
with me.
okay.
I wasn't.
It's just
expecting
women
to
are
go
being
through that.
killed while we're waiting. So, no rush.
All right. So prior to these new vice and virtue laws, women and girls, they were already blocked from attending secondary school and from almost every form of paid employment, prevented from walking in public parks, attending gyms or beauty salons, and told to comply with strict dress code. Also, they have, Taliban has reintroduced public flogging and stoning for women who have committed adultery, which means women who have been raped by married men and then get blamed for it. So, yes. So these new laws, women have to, are pretty much not seen and not heard at this point. They're not good for anything at this point. They have to cover their entire body, including their face, in heavy, thick clothing, because apparently they're going to lead men into temptation and vice, is what they say. They also can no longer speak in public. Their voices cannot be heard. And they can't sing or talk loud enough to where their voice is heard outside of their house.
God, can we move to Afghanistan? This sounds
up.
awesome.
Shut up, dick. So they can't do anything. Men, there's a rule for men. They have to cover their bodies from their navel to their knees. Whoa. Woe is me.
Navel to their knee. Oh.
Yes.
Well, what happens when you're...
Yeah,
In
what
my
if you're
case-
bigger than your knees?
In my
What if it-
case, it
what
would
if
be navel to my ankle.
Oh my gosh.
So
So they also, women
Wrap
are
it around your
not...
waist once.
that's what I'm saying. Right? Yeah, use it as a belt.
Oh my God, you guys. You're horrible.
Oh, that's great.
All right. So also women are not allowed to look directly at men they are not related to by blood or marriage. And taxi drivers will be punished if they agree to drive a woman who is without a suitable male escort. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I had heard about some countries in the Middle East where women left their house 3 times in their life. They're born, the day they get married, and the day they die. Other than that, they never leave the house. And that's what the Taliban is turning Afghanistan into. That's what they're doing. And women have absolutely, there's over 14 million women and girls in that country. They have absolutely no rights whatsoever. And it is sad and sickening.
This is Masai Alinejad. Olivia, great job covering that. Listen to this. This is called gender apartheid.
I prepared my speech, but I really want to talk from my heart. Western people, they go to cinema or they sit down with popcorn in their house with their family members and they watch one of the well-known series called The Handmaid's Tale. How many of you watched that series or read the book by Margaret Atwood? Yes, it is about American women losing their rights. It's a fiction. Of course, it's fiction. American women losing their rights overnight. They are being sexually harassed. They're being forced to marry men. They're being forced to bring children. They're being forced to wear, they're being told what to wear. They're being second-class citizens. Isn't familiar for you? So unfortunately, the fiction.
So immediately, I want to make something clear, okay? Women with respect, okay? With the uttermost respect. If you abort a baby in the Middle East, you'll be put to death. If you kill a man's child, you'll be put to death. You have no idea what the Handmaid's Tale is, because you now have to go ahead and have states' rights to have an abortion. Your rights haven't changed. And if they have changed, you can go to another county or you can go to another state. Things change. Things change. In order to get an amazing doctor at a Mayo clinic, I can go in Virginia, but when I was in Wyoming, I would have had to went to Colorado. I would have had to travel. Hospitals are not required to offer abortions to you. They're not required. They do not have to perform abortions at their hospital. States have a right to decide what they want based upon the people. If you don't like it, leave your state. You are not your reproductive freedoms. Do you understand how stupid that sounds? Reproductive freedom by murdering. That is the dumbest thing I think I've heard in at least the last 10 minutes. I am so tired of hearing this. We are not Afghanistan. This is not a Muslim country. This is not Sharia law. Nothing has changed for 95% of the women. You want to go murder a baby? You can murder a baby. Here's the rest.
In the West is the reality of my sisters.
And I have no problem with what this lady's saying, but don't pander to your audience simply because you're going to try to compare Sharia law to America. You know what this is like, right? No, they have no idea.
Can I say something?
Can you imagine a husband telling his wife, no, you sit there and be quiet, little woman?
I'm going to throw something.
No, go ahead, honey.
She was describing the Handmaid's Tale, and that's exactly
no,
what
that's not what she said. Listen to what she said. She said, sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Because she was describing the Handmaid's Tale.
No, that's not what she's saying. If you read the transcript and you read her stances, what she's saying is, America, things like this are happening. They're forcing you to have babies. Sound familiar, doesn't it? She's describing the Handmaid's Tale and then asking them that it sounds familiar by with subtle nuance comparing it to what's happening in the United States.
Got it.
That's what she's doing. I don't agree with that. The rest of it, I'm good with.
Because it's inaccurate.
That
if
is
you look
inaccurate.
at if you look at the abortion map of the United States, more than half of the country is allowing abortions up to between 20 and 26 weeks. There's only a handful of states that have a near total ban. Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina have up to 6 weeks. And it's because the states are choosing this themselves. The people in the states are choosing this themselves. What she's basically saying is, hey, we want a nationwide abortion allowance. We want Roe v. Wade to be put back in. But what Dobbs did, the post-Dobbs decision, what that did is it said, no, this belongs to the states to decide, to the people.
It was unconstitutional, folks. Donald Trump had absolutely nothing to do with your state's abortion policy. It has everything to do with your state. And if you don't like it, petition your state and vote those people out. Otherwise, the majority will rule because that's what you want, right? See, what's funny is you guys always bash the Electoral College and you want the popular vote. But then when the popular vote happens, you get upset and you don't like it. If you're upset with your state and the way that it's ran, it's because of the popular vote. You need a 51% majority in order to go ahead and take out a candidate. Go get it. And in Georgia, you can't have people that don't get at least 50% of the vote. If they get a 48, they have to have a runoff election. Several other states the same way. If you are upset by the way that your state is run and you want to go ahead and be represented, the only way you can do that is to run for office or petition the government the way you're supposed to and change the law.
Right.
Otherwise, it doesn't become a law.
I would be curious to talk to some people who
Keon, I've already watched the video. I don't need you to tell me. I've already watched the entire video. I know exactly what do you need me to play it again for you? I mean, seriously? Go ahead, Liv.
So I would be very curious to talk to some people who think that Roe v. Wade needs to be put back in place and abortion is a federal thing. How they feel about legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
Do they think that should be a federal legalization or should that be up to the states? Because that's the exact same thing.
And they don't have a 2/3 majority for marijuana, but they will. They will, and then it will become codified as federal law. But until you have a 2/3 majority, you're not going to get it. And you're going to have to deal with it. 2/3 of the states are not going to vote for a federal abortion. Nobody will. Nobody's going to put their name on that ticket. Okay, we're going to play this again. I want you to listen.
It's a fiction. Of course.
It doesn't matter that it's a fiction. I want you to listen to this one line.
Losing their rights. It's a fiction. Of course, it's fiction. American women losing their rights overnight. They are being sexually harassed. They're being forced to marry men. They're being forced
to marry?
Listen, they can't listen when we're talking. People are upset saying that this woman is saying that this is not happening in the United States. Thank you, Thomas. Let's listen to this and then we can talk.
Yeah. I've never heard that.
Okay. Well, you're hearing it now.
Rights overnight. They are being sexually harassed. They're being forced to marry men. They're being forced to bring children. They're being forced to wear, they're being told what to wear. They're being second-class citizens. Isn't familiar for you? So unfortunately, the fiction in the West is the reality of my sisters.
I'm not saying that she is comparing that The Handmaid's Tale is a reality. She aligned with people in regards to some of the things that were happening in regards to forcing them to have children. I didn't misconstrue what she said. She ultimately said it. I didn't say she's not for women's rights in Afghanistan. She just said that what's happening in Afghanistan is a reality that was in Handmaid's Tale, but not the United States. That's what she just said. Is that correct? Did everyone pick up on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then why did she say it sounds familiar?
I can give you my point of view from it.
No, but can you just answer my question first?
Yeah, I can give you my point of view because she said, picture yourself. You go to a movie theater or you sit down with your family and you get some popcorn and you sit down on the couch and you watch The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
In this is what happens. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Does this sound familiar?
Yeah, does it sound familiar?
I think she's talking to the people. Does this sound familiar about the show? That's how I take it.
Let's listen to it
again.
again.
It is about
the show.
A series called The Handmaid's Tale. How many of you watched that series or read the book by Margaret Atwood? Yes, it is about American.
Yeah, I know I know she's saying what is fiction here is reality in Afghanistan. I'm completely aware of that. Just let me listen to the part again, please.
American women losing their rights. It's a fiction. Of course, it's fiction. American women losing their rights overnight. They are being sexually harassed. They're being forced to marry men. They're being forced to bring children. They're being forced to wear, they're being told what to wear. They're being second-class citizens.
Hold on.
Isn't familiar for you? So unfortunately, the fiction in the West is...
Okay, I was wrong. See? You just gotta let me listen. It's not misconstruing, it's misunderstanding. There's a difference. We have a lot going on. I completely understand what she said now. I 100% get it. And that's why I didn't come down on her and slap her. I said specifically that she is for women's rights. I agree with everything that she says in this video. I just didn't agree with that one part. Now I understand what she said. I misunderstood. There's a big difference. Okay? Yeah. Okay, great. So I can admit I'm wrong. It happens. I was wrong.
The reality of my sisters in Iran and Afghanistan. I had back-to-back meeting with the parliamentarians, with policymakers here in Germany. And I heard a lot of beautiful words. Many of them, they say that we stand with the people of Iran. We stand with the people of Afghanistan. And I was very clear. And I said that, honestly, enough of standing. Please sit down with your allies. Yes, and make concrete decisions to take strong action. I am here to ask your help.
They're in Germany, Thomas. They have no idea what's going on in Afghanistan countries. We've already solved this problem. She was making comparison contrast to the book as a fiction and then reality in Afghanistan countries. Those people in Germany have absolutely no clue, minus what's happening in their country with gross mass immigration into that country from refugees and illegal immigrants. That's probably why she's speaking in Germany and Europe. She speaks all over the place. This is not the first time I haven't heard her. The only thing I said was I thought she was comparing and having these women malign that are certain things that are happening inside the United States, and that I didn't know she was in Germany. So that just completely changes the entire premise of the video. I understand what she said. I've already admitted it. I can only admit how wrong I am once. I will not keep doing it. So let's stop. Let's move on. Hopefully everyone can understand. Okay, great.
Be shoulder to shoulder with us and ask the government here to take actions. First, I want the German government to call the Islamic states in Afghanistan, in Iran, the way that they are. Gender apartheid. And think about this. If a regime doesn't allow women to go to a stadium, if a regime rape women in prison for the crime of choosing their lifestyle. If a regime do not allow the women to travel abroad without getting permission from their husband, if the regime arrested women of Afghanistan for just speaking up against not having education, if you don't call this regime gender apartheid, then what do you call it? So here we are, powerful women here. I need your help to write to the policymakers, to write to the members of parliament, to write to the members of United Nations, to expand the definition of apartheid in all international laws.
No, I promise you she's in Germany because of this, because Europe is losing Western culture. Like, Western civilization is dying in Europe. The influence that we once had with Western civilization is no longer as predominant as it was in the Orient and Europe. And that's just the way it is. So if we want to get back to a Western civilization mentality, but countries continue to regress due to their extreme laws against women, these behaviors will take place in Germany and France and England because of the mass immigration that they have and refugees fleeing these countries who are getting comfortable and starting to implement these beliefs in Western society. Does that make sense? That's why she's there. And it makes sense. It's where she should be. She shouldn't be in the United States. You know what she should say in the United States? You women need to shut up. You have it so effing good. You have no clue. Tell me when you have a real problem. I've got business to do. I get it.
To include gender as well. I remember the day when Taliban took over Afghanistan, because of my campaign against compulsory hijab, so I was in touch with millions of Iranian women. They were sending me videos of themselves walking unveiled, chanting their rights and saying that we don't want to be slave in the hands of Islamic Republic. It was a beautiful campaign, White Wednesdays. Then became one of the most prominent movement in Iran. And I remember I used to actually refer to Berlin Wall. I used to say that compulsory hijab is like the Berlin Wall. If we tear this wall down, the Islamic Republic won't exist. And I still believe in that. That time when the women of Afghanistan was the target of Taliban, I got bombarded by women of Afghanistan, sending me videos and protesting against Taliban. I said to one of the women that I want to blur your face because I'm scared that you might get arrested by Taliban. You know what was her reaction? As I still get goosebumps. She said to me that, no, don't blur my face. This is what Taliban is doing to us. I want to take my visibility back. I want to sacrifice my life because I know freedom is not free. From that time, I promised myself that I'm not going to go anywhere talking about women of Iran, but ignoring women of Afghanistan. Everywhere I go, I take women of Afghanistan like on my shoulder. And I talk about the woman telling me that I want to take my visibility back. So here we are. Women of Afghanistan are...
she wouldn't be the first woman who had acid thrown on her face as she's walking down the street in European countries. Right. I mean, she's putting her life on the line. When I listened to it earlier, it was just that one part what I misunderstood. God forbid that I make a mistake. Oof. Can you imagine?
This is your only time this year.
Obviously it is. Thank God the year's almost over. But she's putting her life on the line. This is the problem. Is 2012, 2014 conservatives, Christian nationalist conservatives, the neocons, the Tea Partiers who were purchased by the Koch brothers and not the Ron Paul Tea Party, told us Sharia law was coming here. Michelle Bachmann said it.
I remember that.
Paul Ryan said it. You heard this from everybody that Sharia law was coming. Sharia law was not coming back then. Sharia law is not coming now. But I tell you what, if you don't get these borders fixed, it will.
It will.
And you have got to shut this thing down because Europe is done. Europe, they are finding that European descent is going to be a minority within the next 30 to 40 years, the way that this is happening. Is they are literally bleeding these countries right now. This isn't a race of white people. That's not what it's about. can we just be honest? My daughter came to me. She goes, Dad, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, they do so well. I have a question. Now, I'm going to repeat this because I want to say it delicately. She's like, do you think that these countries are so peaceful and there isn't much crime because there really aren't any black people? And I stopped and I'm like, how do I answer that, honestly?
No.
I can't.
That's rough.
And what I said was, honey, the United States is a very different country than other countries. And we have a group of people who have put African Americans in the worst possible situation that they have to somehow escape from. And if they aren't better than 96% of the people, they have an uphill struggle simply because of their demographics, their finances, the odds that they have to face. So do I believe that black people inherently commit crime because they're black? No. Do I believe that black people commit crime because they are brought up in a situation where crime is glorified and aggrandized as some sort of major cool thing to sling drugs and join gangs and deal with bitches and hoes? You know what?
Or out of desperation.
Or out of desperation. Yeah. So do I think if you took African Americans from Somalia, or you took them from Harlem and Queens and stuck them in Finland, Sweden, and Norway, and they were treated and put in the same situation as those people, would crime be created? No. But I think if you take the worst parts of any society, no matter what color they are, they will replicate those behaviors no matter where they go. And there's no better example than Democrats fleeing Democrat states, going to Republican states and turning them into Democrat. Or women fleeing Sharia law and then putting a burqa back on the moment they get into Minnesota. So the worst people will always replicate the worst result. That's my opinion.
It's funny that you're saying that, and I'm remembering reading, and I can't remember which book it was in, but it was a Thomas Sowell book where he compared the general economic status to the average African American community to the immigrants specifically from, and I want to say it was Nigeria, maybe it was Niger, where the immigrants who had just come here in the last 40 years, right? Didn't matter that they, if you were to put somebody who had been here, 100 years or 80 years and stood them up next to somebody who had only been here for 20, 30 years from Niger, you couldn't tell them apart. But by and large, I think it was Niger, they were doing 3 times better than the average African American, even though they looked the same. And so there was a big part of that was resonating when you were talking about that. Something else, the Sharia law thing.
We got a hard stop in 3 minutes. I can't keep Olivia past like 9:10, so I'm just letting you go, okay. And then just want to let you know. Go ahead.
All right. Isn't it funny that when we're talking about Sharia law here in the United States and the amount of people who are trying to vote their way towards authoritarianism, and over in Europe and Iraq and Afghanistan, that all of that could be solved with the 14th Amendment that states that, everyone's got to be treated equally. God,
yeah.
If only people could see this.
It is such a complex question, and this puts the bow on it for tonight. Phil Handa is one of our biggest followers on Twitter. This guy pimps us out all the time, and a lot of our people do. And I know the work that everyone does. Kristen does an amazing job over there. Amy always helps out. Lee helps out. But non-moderator, people connected to the show, Phil really helps us out. He says, that is because some are not looking for a better life, but to bring their life to a better place. Ooh.
That is good. So good.
Yeah, it's really good, Phil. That's Phil.
I'm going to post it to my page. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty damn profound. And I don't even care if you heard that somewhere else because it's really good. So thank you for bringing that to us because that gets comment of the night. Olivia gets to go out. Liv, I promise you, I will never make you wear a burqa. You always get to have an opinion as long as I agree with it. So
It's funny. I've had to deal with Muslim men in person before. And I have met some extremely kind, polite Muslim men. And I have met some men that I just wanted to kick in the balls. And when I used to work in property management, renting apartments for 10 years, it was mainly in Colorado, was majority of the time. And there was influx of people coming into Colorado. And I met several Muslim people. One of them tried to freaking, tried to kiss me and force that upon me. So that's a whole nother story. But I remember one guy came in, and it was a Sunday, and there was only me and another leasing agent, and it was a guy. And he comes in, and I greet him. No, he didn't want to do anything with me. No, I want him. That's exactly what he said. And then he walks around and looks at the office and goes, "You need to tell her that she needs to do her job better. This is dirty. And I'm like, what the hell? What an asshole. And Mike's looking at me like, oh my gosh. Well, he came back a couple days later, and it's Mike's day off. And I greet him, and I was like, I see him come up the stairs. I was like, I don't want to deal with him. And he's like, no, I will not deal with you. I want him. Get him. And I'm like, he's off. I'm not. No, you call him. I only want him. And I'm like, oh my God. So I called my manager. He yelled at my manager. My manager told him, get the hell out, get off the property. Because it was all women in there at that point. And I mean, he was a complete asshole. And he's the type of guy that needs to go back. And he's probably, I've seen some guys, I remember it feels like it's 110 in the middle of summer with being, a mile high in Colorado. And I remember seeing a woman walking into Target and the whole thing, just black gloves, everything. I mean, veiled, can't even see her face. And she's walking like 3 feet behind her husband, her head down and her hands in front of her face and just looking at the ground while she's walking. And I wanted to say something, but I didn't have the guts. But I have dealt with it firsthand. And I mean, it's awful. It's horrible. And the great thing I have is I have my rights that I can go tell him to F off and go to hell if he tries to teach me that way. Because I am not in your country. Go back to your country. But I've got that right. Unfortunately, those women in Afghanistan and the other countries do not, which is just heartbreaking and sad.
Next time, just get a balloon and fill it with pig's blood. Throw it at him. Solve the problem. Here's the thing. When you are acceptant, this is my final minute, and it won't even take a minute. When you are accepting of all beliefs and all dispositions, and all actions from people, then you no longer a society with value and values. Because if you can't differentiate why reading to children in a classroom with a drag show element and reading pornographic material to children by leaving it in libraries where 6th graders go, and that it doesn't cross the line of the moral fabric of this country, then you're teaching people to be acceptance of all actions that are not egregious, because we still have our basics. You don't kill, you don't go ahead and steal, that's fine. But what I'm talking about is perversions. And beating women with canes because they speak is a perversion. Yes, it's assault. Yes, it's battery. Yes, it's horrible. But it is justified by somebody with their belief structure. And that is a perversion to the normal in society. When you say that you have to say a man is a woman when they're not, that's a perversion. It's a distortion of truth. When you do that enough, you have to become accepting of everything. And that will include pedophilia. That's next. People tell me, if you told me in 1960 that a man could marry a man and a woman could marry a woman, those people would melt down and blow up in their heads. Just right there, just blow up, spontaneously combust. But it's normal for us, and it's normal now. And even though we may not agree, it's. I'm not saying it's accepted by you. I'm saying it's normal in society. I thought this was going to take 30 seconds. I lied. We thought that two women sleeping with a man was just done in France. We thought people having sex with Caligula type partners was something that was done on acid trips. Now we find that people are getting castrated and having their body parts changed in order to identify. That's all of this is just normalizing this behavior and these perversions. And eventually, pedophilia will we've already heard it. People are scrambling and saying on the two-spirit BIPOC flag, whatever it is, that the plus represents people who have affection for underage people. That is not okay. But when you go ahead and accept the extreme and say that the extreme must be accepted, then all extremes at one point or another become normalized. Because when this is about, you have to be tolerant of things you don't agree with and you have to remain silent. That is 1984 Orwellian behavior, Animal Farm behavior that will destroy society. And that is what you're being told. Something to think about. Leroy, take us home.
I agree with everything you just said, and we try not to go too far into the religious or biblical realm here. I mean, we'll talk about it, but this isn't one of those channels where we're going to sit here for an hour and just quote scripture to you. But that being said,
time to quote scripture. Here we go.
But that being said, it does make you wonder if the Bible doesn't give us those lessons ahead of time, enough to say to stop certain behaviors before they become a problem. And with that, I'm going to give you Deuteronomy 22:5.
Oh.
A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor a man should put on a woman's clothing, for anyone who does such things is an abomination to the Lord your God. Now, how far, I mean, do I take that like extremely seriously? I mean, hell, we all grew up watching 80s hair band, big hair bands, right? I mean, I loved Van Halen and Poison, and let's face it, I mean, they kind of look like that from time to time, right? But now it's like, but that was one of those situations where like they knew not to take themselves too seriously. And now it's like we've turned that corner and now we're expected to take them seriously. And I just, I wonder if the Bible does in fact have all of the answers and we're just not reading it.
Well, here's the last thing. This will be 12 seconds. Deuteronomy, this will be our next show and we need to do it. And I think it'll be great. The U.S. and United States Constitution, our government, our way of life was born on Christian principles through and through.
Yeah.
100%. Everyone who said that the founding fathers were not religious, you're insane. I have got numbers for you. And most of what we talk about and most of the laws that we have are all from Deuteronomy and all in Christian beliefs. And our society, our societal norms, our country, we are a Christian nation. And I am not a godly man, but you know that I've been reading some stuff and I want to bring it to you. And it's really interesting, especially about the founding fathers. So this whole perversion of separation in church and state, this is a plan. This is the Saul Alinsky Maoism, Marxism is, and it's there. And we can also talk about strength and joy from the Nazis, which we should talk about too, that the entire DNC convention was about joy. We should talk about the Nazi Party and their belief structure around strength and joy, because it very much sounds familiar. Remember, it was the Nazi Socialist Party, the National Socialist Party. Socialist. Democrats are sounding really like 1940 Germany. We'll talk about that next show.
Yep.
Everybody, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. I'm not even going to say anything about donations tonight. I appreciate the ones who did. We have about 5 days left. If you have not had a chance to help out the DUM Show, now is a great night to do it. You can go down there. Also, thedumshow.com and then thedumnews.com. You can go get some shirts, some coffee, some hats, all that type of stuff. Olivia, thank you for being here tonight. I loved your contribution. Leroy, as always, it's good to have you here. Yeah, strength through joy. Sorry. Strength through joy. I couldn't come up with that. I'm tired tonight. Let's rock and roll. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll have a new show, new article, all that. God bless. Take care of each other. Say goodnight, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
Love you guys.
See you guys. See you tomorrow.
Peace out.
Adjusting transmitter output.
Thanks, Leroy.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.